This story, the name of this story is called Chalk. Chalk. Anybody knows what chalk is? What's chalk?
Something you write on blackboard.
There you go. On the ground on the sidewalk. Don't let them catch you though. But they don't do much of that anymore. But in my days, we didn't have these white boards and erasable. We had blackboards. And so chalk is what they used to write on the blackboards and stuff like that. Now, this story, I'm going to tell you why it's named Chalk. But don't get caught up with the name of the story. Let me tell you a little bit about what's happening. So there was this professor at a college. And while he was at the college, he taught philosophy. No, nothing is wrong with philosophy. Philosophy is just a different view of how you see things. But he liked philosophy in the way to say that there is no God. So he believed man has his own destiny. Man chooses what he wants to do. There is no God. So he was anybody know the word that you call a person that don't believe in God? Any at all? They don't believe there's a God? They don't believe there's a God. Anybody know the word? You trying to remember? Let Pastor help you. It's a big word. Atheist. So he was an atheist, and he wasn't scared to tell everybody, there is no God. So he doesn't believe that there is a God. So when teaching his class there at the college, right, at the end of every semester, he would challenge his students, right? And he would get up with the chalk in his hand, and he would say, there is no God. Now there's about 300 persons in the class. And he says, if there is a God, then God would stop this chalk from falling and hitting the floor and smashing into a million pieces. And he says, if there's anyone here that believes in God, stand up. Now, there were persons there that believed in God every year, but they were like scared to challenge the professor, so they all sat down. So year after year, nobody stood up. And then he would let the chalk go, and the chalk would fall to the ground, smash into a zillion pieces.
I think the reason why God won't keep it from falling is because no one's standing up.
High five. That's a high five moment there. My kid says, the reason why the chalk, God didn't stop the chalk from falling because nobody was standing up. That's a high five moment there. Yay, my kids know stuff. Yes, it makes me feel so good. Okay, calm down, Mario. Get back to the story. So there was this young guy, a freshman. This was his first year at college, you know. He's going, and he heard about the professor because he has a reputation, and he had to take his class. No choice about it. So he goes to the class, and he sat through, and now it was the ending of the semester. The professor came up as usual, took out the chalk, and he says, there's no God. And everybody looked at him. And he says, is there anyone here that believes there's a God? Because if there's a God, he would stop this chalk from falling and hitting the floor and smashing into a zillion pieces. That youngster stood up. The professor said, you're a fool. Why did you stand? And all the class were like, what did he do? He stood up. Don't he know he shouldn't stand up? And the young man said, I believe there is a God. In fact, I know there is a God. So the professor looked at him and says, well, it's time for me to prove to you that there is no God. And just as he was about to let go of the chalk, his finger slipped. And the chalk rolled down his sleeve, rolled off his pants, off his shoes, and rolled right onto the floor. And the boy said, I told you there's a God, because the chalk did not smash into a zillion pieces. The professor was so startled and so afraid that he ran out of the class, because he was like, oh, there must be a God. And he took off. That young boy came and stood in front of the class and told everybody for about an hour about the God that he served. Listen. Let me tell you something. People are going to tell you God is not real. As you get older, it's not going to get easier. You're going to come across persons as you go into your next grade that might say, hey, What? You go to church? I don't go to church on Sundays. That's a waste of time. There is no God. Don't listen to them. Stand up for what you believe in. Believe there is a God, and He will serve him, and He will do things for you that nobody can even explain. Once you honor God and don't deny Him, God will never deny you. So make sure whatever happens, always stand up for God. And that's children's time for today.